These in on your platform, when I talk about these problems on my platform, OEMs don't like it at all. I've been banned by half of the industry. Some very big manufacturers have banned me from their media list out loud. So much so that I was one of two people who were banned from entering the Auto Expo that happened last year.
Oh my God.
I had arranged logistics for my entire team to come from all across the country and be a part of the Auto Expo, which is a great event where we get to explore new products, concepts. We get to meet a lot of product teams and understand. And right a day before that Auto Expo had to happen, we went to receive our access cards, and we were told bluntly that you've been blacklisted from the association who is organizing this event.
Do you want to talk about what happened?
Most of these OEMs have a monopoly in
Okay.
organizing the Auto Expo. And they don't want certain people to go near their product and speak out the truth, because those cars are publicly accessible. They are not, especially on media days, they're not covered with security, or you're allowed to touch and feel, you're allowed to go inside the car, and they cannot control what one says. Although they can control a lot of these publications, but there are certain people like myself who would go out and speak the truth, because that's how it's supposed to be.
Of course.
OEMs don't like it. And now it's all about marketing and sales. Oh, I want to give you a sunroof. I want to give you Falana Dimkana at a price which is supposed to be for an economy car, for an economy box. They want to give features of cars which are 2 or 3 times more expensive. The demise of Ford, this is a controversial statement, has to be owned by the media because of the lackluster feedback that it gave to the public. They themselves pushed it down, saying that, oh no, these cars don't have these features. These cars are pointless. These cars are rubbish. They are living in the Stone Age. Look at these new fancy cars with bells and whistles and apsaras coming out of the glove box and serving you orange juice right in the morning when you get inside. Knew how to build properly engineered cars.
Oh yes, totally.
Even in 2024, they come back with the same vehicle that they sold 5 years ago. People should buy it because they are cars. They are not mobile phones on 4 wheels.
And they last.
Of course.
They last.
Look at the Volkswagen Polo.
Yeah.
Even with all the cars today, if you relaunch that car with just 100 pieces, I'm pretty sure.
Day one.
Sold out.
Sold out. Tell me one thing that just a few days back when we had caught up over a coffee, you were mentioning something about, in terms of quality, OEMs claim something and deliver something. Can you throw some light on that? Because you would have a perfect experience of that, I think.
See, 8 out of 10 OEMs in India project their product through their marketing and sales team. They don't do it through their product team. And these marketing and sales teams are the key people who are involved in making that product rather than the product team at large. They decide what features go. They decide what quality of material would go to make sense.
The marketing team?
Yeah. I mean, in terms of their visuals, वो सब चीजें, and henceforth a lot of these OEMs have to compromise on quality.
Oh, okay.
For example, there is a Korean manufacturer. Back up till 2010, they made a car called Hyundai i20, which is still there. But the first Hyundai i20 was manufactured to manufactured to be exported to Eastern European countries, to Australia, to South Africa from India. And then they thought कि यार थोड़ी सी गाड़ियाँ इंडिया में छोड़ के देखते हैं. And it got popular. And this is back in 2008, I remember. And the quality of that car was so good for the time. I mean, a 6.57 lakh rupee hatchback for that time was a no-brainer. People would say, "Yaar, itne mein to varna aa jati, get a sedan, why are you getting a hatchback?" But it had everything, like high-quality materials, 6 airbags, reach and rake steering, seat height adjustment.
अच्छा steering adjuster भी था.
Yeah. And it had electrically folding mirrors, Bluetooth, audio-video navigation, which came further on in 2010. And very good air conditioning. And that particular car was tested for Euro NCAP.
Okay.
And it was a 5-star rated car.
Okay.
The quality of materials used on that car were superior. The quality of paint that Hyundai used in that car was very good. It did not have any rusting issues, no bubbling issues. And hence it created a very outright image for Hyundai that, you know, we are giving you a quality product. People accepted it. People loved it. It sold huge numbers.
And it lasted for donkeys of years for people who
I still have it.
Yeah.
That car has done close to 3 lakh kilometers. It's gotten a few engine changes.
Okay. And 3 lakh kilometers on the most recent engines or in totality?
No, in totality.
In totality. Okay.
And it's pretty much the most wonderful thing that has happened to Hyundai up till now, I guess. I've had 2 very major crashes in that car, and surprisingly, the structure was pretty good to take off all those impacts. I was safe. I was scratchless. There was a point where the car tumbled 6 times, and I was upside down. And when I got out of the car, I saw it, and I was like, I don't think so. It's gonna get repaired. But then a lot of my friends and family said, "Ki yaar, total of that car, you know, give it off as a total write-off for the insurance." And then for once I thought, you know, this is something that saved my life. So I'll rebuild it. So I rebuilt the entire structure, the roof and everything. And it's still alive. I still have that crack on my roof liner. And it just shows of how strong and how beautifully Hyundai was functioning as a brand and how much power that the product team had back in the days. Now it's all about marketing and sales. Oh, I want to give you a sunroof. I want to give you Falana Dimkana at a price which is supposed to be for an economic car, for an economy box. They want to give features of cars which are 2 or 3 times more expensive. And most of these features honestly are classless. They will function for 1-2 years at best.
Can you give an example of some of those features?
Let's say a sunroof.
Okay.
Yeah. So the gasket would wear off. The motors would stop working sometimes. Even these massive Android screens with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, wireless, Falana Dimkana, they stop working in 2-3 years. All these owners are going to the workshops telling these guys who have no clue how to fix them. And that's another problem that I'll come up with. They have no clue how to fix them. And at the end of the day, you're just left with something that is mostly non-functional. And this has pushed the manufacturers to tone down the quality as well. Now, when I was talking to you about the strong structure of the i20, imagine back in 2010, they built that i20 with a 5-star Euro NCAP rating in terms of how it was structured, the quality of structure, the quality of materials, everything was top-notch. That car in 2024 has a 3-star rating. So we have not upgraded or maintained that quality.
The new i20 is 3 stars?
It's 3 stars. With the 6 airbags, with ESP, with every bell and whistle that you can think of. So we have not maintained that quality in terms of structural strength, in terms of other things as well. We've degraded it. The plastic inside is flimsy, it's unfinished, it smells bad. You know, the quality of grain in those plastics is much discounted as to what it was 15 years ago. And although we have so many feel-good features, most of these manufacturers have degraded the quality considerably. Now, there is one manufacturer who I would want to point out, whose product team has been given too much power.
Okay.
That's Citroën. Now, a lot of people would say,
Which one?
man,
Citroen? Okay.
A lot of people would say, कि यार, it's not something which the public is liking. उसमें it's lackluster in terms of the features.
I think it's probably the finest car right now.
I mean, see, look at the engineering aspect of it. What is a car? It is a tool from going from point A to point B in the most comfortable way. Of course, they're not the safest, but everything that is built in that car, the air conditioning, the seats, the suspension, is absolutely fantastic. They make one of the most robust suspensions. They make great steering. They make very good seats. The air conditioning is probably the best in the industry right now after Toyota's. Excellent cars, and I've never seen marketing teams or sales teams of Citroen intervening too much into the product, and that shows. Initially, when the car was launched, a lot of these media houses, a lot of publications are like, this car is okay, it does not have that feel-good factor. Boss, are you serious? It drives like something which should not belong in that category. And that's the sad part, because most of these good cars, which drive really well, especially for us enthusiasts, which the cars that allure us a lot in terms of the feedback, in terms of the experience that we have with those, take a back seat because of how the publications and these media houses portray it to the world. Because then they sell less, people have that perception that it's not going to be great. But the people that end up buying these cars, the Citroen C3 Aircross is there.
Boss, the Endeavour is the perfect example of that.
Endeavour is such a brilliant car even by today's standard.
It started picking up, I think, मेरे ख्याल 4 साल पहले 4 साल तो बिकी नहीं थी गाड़ी, उसके बाद बिकनी शुरू हुई थी गाड़ी. When people started realizing that, oh my god.
Even the Ford EcoSport by today's standard.
Oh yes.
Is one of the finest machines that you can buy. I mean, that 1 liter EcoBoost engine, extracting out 125 bhp out of a 1 liter turbocharged engine, even all these manufacturers even today cannot achieve that.
Yeah.
The kind of suspension setup it had, the kind of steering feedback it had, the demise of Ford, this is a controversial statement, has to be owned by the media. Because of the lackluster feedback that it gave to the public. They themselves pushed it down, saying that, oh no, these cars don't have these features, these cars are pointless, these cars are rubbish. They are living in the Stone Age. Look at these new fancy cars with bells and whistles and apsaras coming out of the glove box and serving you orange juice right in the morning when you get inside. I'm like, boss, Ford knew how to build properly engineered cars.
Oh yes, totally.
Even in 2024, they come back with the same vehicle that they sold 5 years ago. People should buy it because they are cars. They are not mobile phones on 4 wheels.
And they last.
Of course.
They last.
Look at the Volkswagen Polo.
Yeah.
Even with all the cars today, if you relaunch that car with just 100 pieces, I'm pretty sure.
Day one.
Sold out.
Sold out.
That's what it's going to be. So there were manufacturers which were making, and there are still manufacturers that are making very good cars. Unfortunately, they're all discounted because of how the media portrays it to the millions of people that are following it.
I mean, I remember when we had gone to Spiti.
Yeah.
And then Leh gaye the. Leh mein you were also there, Leh mein. My God, I was blown away by how the Endeavour had behaved. I mean, everybody, all the media houses, I don't remember a single one of them because I've seen almost every single review of the Endeavour. Nobody was really everybody was talking about, that it drives nice, it's smooth, the gearbox is a bit sluggish and the engine is 3.2, but it's not like all crazy amount of power. It sounds good, the engine note is nice. Nobody talks about the fact that, boss, you throw even this big sized rock in front of the car, just go faster.
But no. What are they bothered by? Oh, it does not have a wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. Are you serious?
I still remember, I mean, I sold it a few months back, 8 years down the line, 8 years later I sold it. The only issue that I had experienced in that car, and I quote, literally the only issue was probably engine mounts were wearing off.
Yeah.
The shock absorbers, the suspension lasted for 90,000 kilometers, including Ladakh and Spiti. And I don't know, the way I drive like a maniac, I did a
Basically.
few runs in Oras multiple times, off road, this, that. The damn thing lasts. Like
You
how?
used your car the way it was intended to be used.
Oh, yes.
Now look at the cars now. I mean, they are as sensitive as oranges out of a genetically modified farm.
And that too, if something happens, half the time, more than half the time, you keep figuring out what went wrong.
Of course.
So, anyhow, on that note, I'm sure things would have stirred up between the OEMs and you in terms of relationship. Can you talk a little bit more about the relationship you've been having lately with OEMs?
Oh God. This is. I mean, it's getting worse with most of them because now I have gotten a little too brutal. I feel like when I wake up in the morning and I just reflect to the things that I've been doing in this industry out of passion, and when I have conversations with my family, with my peers who are very close to me, you included, when I try to gather all the perspectives that they have about me, they sort of tell, mellow down a little bit. But then that's actually helping the industry somehow by very small percentage, because people are getting more aware of the products that they are ending up buying. OEMs perhaps are not my best friends anymore.
How so? Elaborate.
They don't like honest reviews, not even by the smallest percentage. If you go on and tell boss the car is really good, but there's this one thing that might not be good about this car, be prepared, you will be banned. For example, there's this manufacturer called Tata Motors, very popular in India now, the most respectful manufacturer by today's standard. Even I respect them a lot because they've come a long way in terms of their design. They've come a long way in terms of their structure, their packaging.
Though I must say, I mean, the cars look great at least. I mean, I've not driven too much Tata vehicles, but
They're doing a great job. I mean, they've made very safe cars. They have pushed the narrative that, you need to have 5-star rated, good, strong cars in the market.
Yes.
And we can make them in India as well under an Indian manufacturer's name. But the problem is that is all they have to offer. A strong structure. It's like driving a locker on 4 wheels, because most of the other things might not function. The engines have issues. The packaging has quality control issues. After sales service is rubbish. That's a big statement to make, because back in 2017 we ended up buying a Tata vehicle, then another Tata vehicle in the next few years.
you're the Harrier, right?
I have the Hexa.
Hexa. Sorry.
And my experience on a personal note with Tata has been really bad.
Okay.
But a lot of people advocated for it as like, bro, it's a safe car, it's a very, they're designed really well, they look very flamboyant, they're very loaded in terms of their features, their comfort is really good. I agree to it. But the values that you get alongside with that product is not something that I would appreciate much. As of
Elaborate a
today.
little bit on that.
Let's say the after-sales service. For example, you buy a product. You have to get your car serviced at a service station. You take it to the nearest service station to your house, especially in a city like Delhi. And most of the times they are clueless. They're not well trained. They don't know how to fix certain things, which becomes a hassle-filled experience for the consumer. Imagine staying in New Delhi and changing 5 workshops in the last 7 years of owning a car. I mean, that is the kind of trust that I have with Tata as of today. And unfortunately, I ended up referring these cars to some very good people and very close people. And they're unhappy. And one of these references ended up with a very renowned judge of Delhi High Court.
Oh shit.
And the very next week, their car broke down. And it broke down again and again. And for good 6 months, the car went to the workshop at least 7 times. The kind of emails that I got from them were not confidence inspiring. And so much so, I was pushed to somehow sell that car back to Tata Motors or just get rid of it on their behalf. And ever since that happened, and a lot of other episodes happened, I was not able to confidently refer these cars or suggest these cars to anyone, even my readers. I tell them, boss, they're making great cars. I'm not saying they're not making great cars. The current generation of Tata cars are absolutely fantastic. But overall, they're just great to look at.
Yeah.
The core values, the integrity in those cars is not very long lasting.
Okay.
So when you talk about these on your platform, when I talk about these problems on my platform, OEMs don't like it at all. I've been banned by half of the industry. Some very big manufacturers have banned me from their media list. Out loud. So much so that I was one of 2 people who were banned from entering the Auto Expo that happened last year.
Oh my God.
I had arranged logistics for my entire team to come from all across the country and be a part of the Auto Expo, which is a great event where we get to explore new products, concepts. We get to meet a lot of product teams and understand. And right a day before that Auto Expo had to happen, we went to receive our access cards. And we were told bluntly that you've been blacklisted from the association who is organizing this event.
Do you want to talk about what happened?
Most of these OEMs have a monopoly in
Okay.
organizing the Auto Expo. And they don't want certain people to go near their product and speak out the truth, because those cars are publicly accessible. They are not, especially on media days, they're not covered with security, or you're allowed to touch and feel, you're allowed to go inside the car, and they cannot control what one says. Although they can control a lot of these publications. But there are certain people like myself who would go out and speak the truth, because that's how it's supposed to be.
Of course.
OEMs don't like it. And most of these OEMs that have banned me perhaps were playing a key role in organizing this event, the Auto Expo. They are a part of one of the associations that controls that. And that happened. And as much as I should have felt bad, I've been banned from an Auto Expo, I should be sitting in the corner of the room and crying out, why did that happen? मैंने तो कभी किसी का कुछ बिगाड़ा नहीं.
Yeah.
I was feeling elated. The kind of content that I'm putting out to the public for people to read and people to see what I talk about is actually affecting the OEMs as well.
Of course.
Because the reality is what they don't want to show. And the reality is what I'm presenting. Unfortunately, that's how it is.
Okay. On that, just a while ago, you mentioned about crash tests. You were talking about, I think, I-20. You were talking about 5-star crash testing rating earlier, and now it's, let's say, 3-star, what you just mentioned. Tell me one thing, and I really want to understand this in the most brutally honest manner. How right or how correct or how accurate is this NCAP?
Okay. So there are multiple NCAPs all across the world.
Okay.
The most prestigious and the most renowned NCAP is Euro NCAP.
Okay.
They have very strong standards of testing.
Okay.
Stronger than anywhere else in the world. Then we have the global NCAP. Currently we have the Bharat NCAP. Now how Euro NCAP functions is they do multiple tests in real life situations. So they do their crash test, which is the obvious thing to do. They do side impact test. They do tumble test, where they flip the car.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Okay.
You'll see a lot of videos. With,
I thought only Volvo does that.
No. It happens
Okay.
with Euro NCAP as well. They do proper functioning test of ADAS systems also. That is the current
Yeah.
demand of the consumers. And we'll have to talk about ADAS
Okay.
as well. They have very strong parameters overall. And the kind of testing that happens through Euro NCAP really makes out to be how it is going to function in the real world situations. Now with global NCAP, it's mostly crash testing. And all the other parameters, including ADAS, their ABS, their ESP, and other functions, are more availability based.
Okay.
They are not tested in real life.
Global NCAP.
Global NCAP.
Okay.
If you have ADAS, you get a point, some decimal points. If you have ESP, some decimal points. If you have traction control, some decimal points. Or you have 6 airbags or 7 airbags, some decimal points. Your child safety, you've got ISOFIX seats, some decimal points. So the majority of the pointer is for the crash testing, but the other pointers that Global NCAP gives is based on the availability of those features. Would they work, would they not, is not something that they test. This happens with Euro NCAP, and henceforth the quality of safety systems and the quality of safety structures that the OEMs have to maintain is very different from what you get all across the world. Now another example that I could want to portray is this car called the Hyundai Tucson.
Okay.
So when it was launched in Europe, it had a proper 5-star rating. And when it was launched in India, they said, oh, it's a 5-star rated car. Oh my God, yes. And they were trying to market what was there in the European countries. Now what was launched in India was a long wheelbase car that was manufactured in South Korea.
Okay.
And a Latin NCAP happened
Latin NCAP. Okay.
for the same car.
Okay.
And there it got 3 stars for 6 airbag version and 0 stars for 2 airbag version.
Okay.
So that's the difference of quality that goes on within the European continent with their cars and all across the world. And henceforth, it's a very difficult situation for anyone to make a decision on getting safer cars, because structurally the cars might be safe.
Or even having a perception of what to be called safe.
Yeah.
Because all the regulations of different countries are different.
Yeah.
Global is different, Euro is different, Latin is different, everything is different.
Of course.